Assalamu alaikum. Today's video is on highest common factor and lowest common multiples. We're gonna start off with highest common factors. Right. So the highest common factor of two numbers or of three numbers is the largest times table in which those two or three numbers come in. Today's video we're gonna specifically focus on two numbers, and later on inshallah we'll have a video on three numbers. So I'm going to start off with an example. So we're going to try and find the highest common factor of 12 and 18. I'm going to first start off by listing the factors of 12 and 18, but basically I'm going to ask myself a simple question: what is the largest times table in which the numbers 12 and 18 come in, right? And that would give me my answer really quickly. But anyway, I'm going to list the factors just so that you can visualize it. So factors of 12, and that's going to be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and that's about it. And then we'll go to factors of 18. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. I can see quite a few common factors here. 1 is a common factor, 2 is a common factor, 3 is a common factor, and 6 is a common factor. The highest common factor is 6. So the highest common factor of 12 and 18 is 6. That means that 6 is the largest times table in which both the numbers 12 and 18 come in. Alright, so the highest common factor can be done in different ways. One of the ways was listing. There's a few other ways, and I'm going to show you two other ways. One using the factor tree, which we have seen in the previous video, and the ladder method as well. Right, so let's get started. There's a question here, again an example. I'm going to do factor tree in yellow. Right, find the highest common factor of 24 and 40. So for the factor tree method, we're gonna have to do the factor tree for 24. So two numbers that multiply to give you 24. I'm gonna go for 4 and 6. Neither are prime. Split this up. Two numbers that multiply to give me 4. 2 and 2. Circle the two prime numbers. And two numbers that multiply to give me 6. 2 and 3. There we go. And then I'll do the same for 40, the factor tree. So what was I doing? 4 and 10. Let's say two numbers that multiply to give me 40. 4 and 10. And two numbers that multiply to give me 4, that's 2 and 2. And two numbers that multiply to give me 10, that's 2 and 5. So I'm gonna now list my numbers. So 24 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24. Right, we're gonna go on to 40, which can be written as 2 times 2 times another 2 times 5. Okay, now in order for us to find the highest common factor, I'm going to look at the two lists, right, and I'm going to look for common pairs. So there's a 2 in 24. I'm going to underline it because there's another that makes a pair with this 2. So since those two 2's make a pair, I'm going to write it down once in the highest common factor list. And again, there's a pair here, so I'm not going to write it twice. I'm going to write it just once. And then there's another pair here. I'm going to write it down just once again. There's a 3 in 24, but there's no 3's in 40, so I'm not going to underline the 3. There's a 5 in 40, but there's no 5 in 24, so I'm not going to underline the 5. I have no more pairs, so I'm going to stop the underlining. I'm going to start the multiplying. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So the highest common factor of 24 and 40 is 8. Right, I'm going to use the same example, do it in a different color, green, for the ladder method. Okay, with the ladder method, I'm going to have a ladder. I'm going to have both the numbers 24 and 40. Now I have to be a bit careful here because this can go wrong easily if I don't do the following. I will only choose prime numbers that can divide both 24 and 40. You have to be able to divide both of them at the same time, right? So I ask myself this question: what prime number can go into 24 and 40? Well, 2 goes into both of them, so I'm going to divide both of them by 2, and that's going to become 12 and 20. I'm going to divide 12 and 20 by 2. I have to divide both of them at the same time, so again I'm going to use 2, and that's going to give me 6 and 10. And then I've got 6 and 10, both even numbers. I'm going to divide it by 2 again. That's going to give me 3 and 5. I'm going to ask myself that question again: what prime numbers can divide 3 and 5 together at the same time? And there are no prime numbers that can divide both 3 and 5 at the same time. So that's it. I'm going to stop there, and that's it. My highest common factor is going to be the numbers on the left. So 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And that's my highest common factor. That means 8 is the largest times table in which both the numbers 24 and 40 come in. Right, we'll have a look at LCM, I think, next. Yep. So here we go. Find the LCM of 6 and 9. Now the lowest common multiple is the smallest number that comes in 2 or 3 numbers times table. So in this case, we need to find the smallest number that comes in the 6 times table and the 9 times table. So I'm going to list it so you can visualize it, but if you ask yourself that question, in a lot of the cases you'll be able to find it straight away. So multiples of 6, and we can go 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on. Yeah, 36, dot 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 dot. And then I'll go on to multiples of 9, I've got 9, and then I've got 18. But I can see straight away 18 is already in the 6 times table, so we're looking for the smallest multiple, right? And that is then both of them. So the LCM of 6 and 9 is 18. That's it, really. For larger numbers, however, we can use the factor tree and the ladder method. But I'll just make a point. I forgot to mention this point, right? Sometimes using the factor tree or the ladder method, you are not able to find in the factor tree any pairs, or in the ladder method you are not able to use any prime numbers to divide the two numbers. At that time the highest common factor would be 1. Anyway, so let's find the LCM. Yellow for factor tree. And again we'll start off with 24. Wish I could carry on the previous page, but let's go there. 6 times 4, and then 6 is 2 times 3, just like before, and 4 is 2 times 2, and 40 is the same. So 4 and 10 I believe we had used, and 2 times 2 and 2 times 5. Okay, so we had 24, which is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and then 40 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. To find the LCM using the factor tree method, you have to find the HCF first. You have no choice. So again, to find the HCF, it was that, and that makes one pair, so I'm going to write it down once. There's another pair here, write it down once. There's a third pair there, write it down once. No more pairs, so your highest common factor is 8. Now to find the LCM, we are going to take our highest common factor and multiply by the numbers which we have not underlined. That would be 3 and 5. So we are going to multiply 3 and 5 by our highest common factor. So that's 8 times 3 times 5 is 15, which is 120. Okay, so the lowest common multiple is 120. So 120 is the smallest number that comes in the 24 and 40 times table, and we're going to try the same thing using the ladder method. Right, ladder method. Just taking a while to write this down. Okay, so we got 24 and 40. So we start off in the same way like before. Right, anything that goes into 24, 40, 2 goes into both of them. So I'm going to divide them by 2. 12 and 20. 2 again. 6 and 10. 2 again. 3 and 5. Now I can't divide 3 and 5 by any number except for 1, but we do not use any numbers except for prime numbers. So I'm going to now divide. If I can't divide both of them, I'm going to start dividing them individually. Right, this is for LCM. So 3 goes into 3 once, it doesn't go into 5, so I'm going to leave 5 just as it was. And then 5 goes into 5 once, so I'm going to leave 1 just as it was. When I get to the line where all the numbers are 1, I stop over there, and then my LCM will be all the numbers on the left multiplied with each other. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24, times 5 is 120. There we go. So we get the same LCM both ways. Right, a few examples here. Try and practice as many questions as possible, as practice makes you, well, as close to perfection as possible. Right, hope this helps. Thanks for watching.